Welcome to the Women Money Business Podcast. I'm Dr. Ruchi Basra, and today I've got with me Anu Jalaf from HSC Recruitment. Thank you for being with us today, Anu. It's really lovely to have you on this warm heat wave of a day in England. So would you mind letting me and listeners know a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Anu. So I have been in optical recruitment since 2013. So that's solely been locums, actually. We also branch out to sort of audiology and pharmacy, but we also recruit on the permanent side as well. So we've been doing that for quite a while. Back in February, we set up an agency on our own. So it's me and two other colleagues. But we're basically doing the same thing, offering sort of locums work, whether that's ad hoc, block bookings, regular days, and also obviously if they're looking for a permanent role as well.
And in terms of your journey into sort of owning your own recruitment agency, how did that start?
So it was a difficult one. So we unfortunately got made redundant due to the company closing. And then I think everyone was sort of in a boat where we were just looking at different roles, and I was looking at different jobs in Manchester, different sectors. And I and a couple of colleagues, we still had people who were contacting us and saying, I'm looking for locums, or, I need somebody for a permanent role. And then a couple of weeks, I want to say, it's about a month actually, a month and a half roughly. We were presented with sort of an opportunity to go into sort of a joint venture franchise. And
in recruitment.
In recruitment, yeah. So we kind of thought, is this something we want to do? And yeah, it ended up being something what we ended up doing, and now three of us have an agency.
So the recruitment. So before, where you made redundant, that was a recruitment agency.
That was That was.
And then, are you the only female or are they all?
So my colleague Jennifer, so it's just me and her, and then we have Regan as well. So two females.
Female.
No, Regan's male.
Oh. I know male Regans and female Regans. So
yeah, no, I'll give you that.
Yeah. So in terms of, that's a big step to make, to from becoming redundant to then thinking, what, we can just do it ourselves. Do you think you still would have done it if it was just you?
I don't know. I mean, the thought was always there, like, could I do this, could I not? And in the end, I was quite happy, because for me, like, the journey of when I ended up sort of staying in the sector, I wanted to sort of grow a team, and I wanted to manage a team. And I think it's also managing expectations for locums as well. Because I think a lot of people don't realize, as a recruiter, we have to keep both parties happy. We have a client who wants to pay X amount, but you have a locum who wants to get X amount. And then you have locums who are happy to take the rate, locums who want to negotiate. And it's also the art of obviously having to have two sets of different conversations.
Yeah. I suppose in that as well, you've got to keep yourself happy as well, haven't you?
Exactly. I mean, you can have regular locums who you can even speak to. I mean, one of my ladies who I used to work with, I think we caught up every 2 months, but I used to just book her days in.
Yeah.
We never spoke. I used to just find her work, just book her in, and then that was it. That's it. Yeah. And then some you can make friendships out of. I mean, one of my friends, I ended up, who's a really close friend of mine, I used to find her work, still do now, but we ended up having a friendship, and we've been friends for about 7 years now.
That's lovely. Yeah, that's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're
making that relationship, aren't you, like you say?
Well, exactly. And I think also with your clients as well, it becomes more personable. You sort of talk about, personal things that happened, if anything drastic's happened in your life. So I think what people don't realize is that the relationships you don't just build for, okay, I've booked you in for a day, see you later.
See you later. Yeah.
But there's more to it, I think, as a recruiter, and also as somebody, we do work in a field where it's customer service. And for me, if somebody had placed me into a role And then they had called me after to see, how did you get on? Were you happy? Were there any issues? Would you consider going back there? If you're not happy there, okay, are you happy for me to find you alternatives? I don't know if there's any other agencies who do that. But we do offer sort of that to our locums, because you do make it personable. And I also say people buy from people.
Absolutely. And I think that you're absolutely right in terms of creating that experience for them, and also making it memorable. So I'm not saying that you do this, but maybe you don't get them the best rate, but then you get them what they need consistently, and you're approachable. And I think when I was locuming, I think that would I would feel more comfortable knowing that I can talk to this person and they get me and they're really lovely. And maybe if I get 20, 30 quid less, but like, I'm going to get it. They're there for me. Like, or you feel like you're there for me. Whereas a lot of agencies back when I used to locum, like you'd book in and then you'd get. So I used to remember a couple of times I got to like said practice or franchise, and they were like, "Oh yeah, didn't you get the message? We don't need you." And then the agency hadn't passed that on to me, and I've driven 30, 40, 50 miles, and then I'm told in front of these people, like, you're not meant.
You're not needed.
We were expecting you. It's been cancelled. It cancelled it last night, and then you then put off using that company again
because you think it's their fault. Yeah,
yeah. And it's that risk really, especially when you are. I haven't locum for years now, but then I just remembering sort of back when I used to locum, when you are sort of counting on that money. And you sort of you always sort of like that day is going to pay for that basically, and you turn up and they say, "Oh, we're not paying, like you're not getting paid today." You don't have, if, for example, if you're a full-time locum, that is your job, and then so that is your income that you lose. And you think like if that agency isn't sort of recognizing the fact that I'm a person, I'm human, I've got bills to pay, then you are less likely to sort of go to them again.
You do hear reviews. I mean, I've had tons of locums who have said they've gone to XYZ. They've not had a great experience. I think for me, it's more about having that consistency and having that relationship with people. Find something in common with somebody. But I guess that would also come from experience with, managing a team. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I think what you're saying isn't specific to recruitment, it's customer service, like you say, and you'll find I tend to find that the places that do excel in customer service do have that experience, that memorableness, and you sort of you put the customer at front and center, because if they're happy, you're ultimately going to be happy because they're going to then pay you.
Exactly. So it's interesting. I mean, you do get I think it depends on the mindset as well. Like, one of the first questions I always ask people especially if I've not spoken to them, what's the reason why you're locuming? If you have a certain goal or a target, okay, let's see how we can get there. I had a particular guy a couple of years ago. I remember he said to me, he goes, I'm getting married. We have a lot of people invited to the wedding. It was a big Asian wedding. I said, okay, right. What do you want to do here? And he was like, I need to work as much as possible. And I said, okay, so I think your best route right now is to probably go do a block booking.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking you're going to Cornwall, mate.
So I did actually send him to Cornwall, funny enough. Yeah, I did. Sent him to Cornwall. And I said, you're gonna have to go here. And he was like, I'm getting bored of going to one place. And I said, right, I've got another client. And he was like, okay. And I said, but they're different branches, so you're gonna have to go stay somewhere in the center.
Yeah.
So we did that. So he managed to do that. It did about 7 months, and then I actually got an invite to his wedding. I couldn't go, sadly, because I was born. I was gutted. But we've had loads of scenarios. I mean, I had one guy once say to me, "Oh, I want to buy a Porsche," and I was like, "Lovely, let's get you to that target."
How much you were talking?
Yeah, I was like, "You need to tell me. Okay, you're going to have to go to Southampton, love." So, yeah, you do have scenarios, but even with clients, I mean, we certain clients, they have different stores around the area. So, you come to an agreement where I say, okay, if I find you somebody who can stay in the middle, can you pay a little bit more so they can go stay down?
Yeah.
So we've managed to sort of create ideas and make ideas where it can work for people. The block bookings are quite interesting. I actually find them quite fun. I don't know why. I've always ended up finding them fun. I think it's one of those, when it's a hard to fill area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find those.
You think I did it? I got them in there.
Yeah, the best one I had was a previous locum of mine owns a Specsavers in Australia.
Oh,
And
okay.
he needed a locum, and God knows why. He asked me to find one. I was like, you do realise we're in England. And he had said to me that, no, I know there's people who have done the course and they've gone back to England. And I was like,
Oh, okay.
okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to find anyone. No one's going to go.
Yeah.
I actually found him someone. And
Wow.
yeah, he flew her out and paid for accommodation. She went for 3 months.
I'll go. Yeah, just send me.
I'm going to have to do a conversion course. Might take you a couple of years.
I know.
Might take you a couple of years. Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah. So you could. There are quite a few things you can do. I mean, even Scotland. Scotland is a whole different ball game, especially with the health boards and all the registrations. But again, I mean, I had a client up there who we still work with, and they have block bookings in certain locations. So I have someone who is registered pretty much in every single health board, and does 1 week in one location, 1 week in a different location, and does it vice versa. So there are ways around it.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because you see the shift in like when the newly qualifieds come in.
Yeah.
Because you have like the really old school optoms who don't mind about the rate, happy to go if it's 30-minute testing. They've got a trial frame, have an hour for lunch. You'd be surprised how many people love having an hour for lunch.
I would like an hour for lunch, yeah.
Well, I would love an hour for lunch too. Sometimes it's a working lunch.
Yeah, often, yeah.
And yeah, you'd be surprised. I think the mentality of locuming, I guess, I don't know what's said at uni. I don't know, I know that there's loads of WhatsApp groups out there with dates and locums and group chats and things you see on LinkedIn. I think at the moment, what I've noticed, it's a trend of like, how much more money can I get for less experience?
I've seen this. So like, I'm out of the locum sector because I have my own practice. However, I sort of see things like, say, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and even like, I think early on this year, I was just sort of wanting, because I'm the only optom in my practice. So I was just thinking, well, what are the rates and stuff? Like, I don't know how much it costs to like have a locum because I don't need one, And I bumped into a colleague of mine at 100% Optical, and she's lovely. And I was just like, oh, do you know what? In the future, if I wanted to just wind down a little bit, like, it'd be interesting to know, like, that she'd be quite a good person for it. How much would you charge? And so I asked her, and she told me, and I was like, what? Like,
what was the rate, if
number
you don't
one,
mind
like,
me asking?
pardon?
What was the rate, if you don't mind me asking?
I think she was saying, I think she was 475.
No, you're getting ripped off.
I know, yeah, and I was just like thinking, whoa, kind of thing. I just thought, number one, we're independent practice. Number two, like, I get that things have gone up, but then the quality of the eye test is the quality of the eye test. So I appreciate that. But then I'm not saying I need 17, 18, 19 tests a day. You'd probably do 8 tests, So it's sort of like, I just think like, part of it, I think, I feel bad for saying this, that part of it I think is a bit of greed, because it's like, how much can, like you just said, how much can I get out of this person? But if you thought about it strategically and a little bit long term, you could think, well, actually, I might do a more preferential rate at maybe 350, 300 or whatever, but I might get actually a year's worth of work out of it,
Well,
this
is what I say to locums. I always say, maybe as a one-off, I understand your rate is this. I totally get it. The practice isn't willing to move. However, if you want consistent work, that's better for you in the long run, because one day here and there for a really high rate is not substantial.
Yeah, it's just peaks and troughs, isn't it? And I'm all about sort of positioning yourself and charging your worth, because I fully believe that you should do that. But then when you've got sort of an optom or a dispensing optician that, for example, has hospital qualifications, has extra certificates, totally justified. You have done that extra work, you can offer another level, but only for the right practice. Like if you've done all of that and then you're going to work at the big green, are they bothered that you've got, a high certificate in glaucoma if you're just going to do their normal clinics there?
Yeah.
So, and what I tend to receive a lot of on LinkedIn is from newly qualified, talking about burnout and things like that, and saying, I'm asked to do this many tests and and then, which is like not fair at all. That these guys are newly qualified, but at the same time, there's pockets that they want that time and they want to become expert in what they do. But then you've just said the people that are coming out and saying how much can I get quickly, and then if you're going to try and if they're setting the bar almost wrongly or rightly.
I agree. I
know.
agree. I do need to open the front door.
So that's what I find, that because there are people willing to do silly things in terms of sort of have ghost clinics, have 20 patients a day, is then putting almost extra pressure on the newly qualified, not even newly qualified. I've had some very experienced optoms reach out to me and say, like, you know what, I think I might be missing something. Like I can't sleep at night, and I'm thinking, have I done this right? And I just think, like, after years of doing what you're doing, you've still got those doubts, and where are they coming from? Like what? And is it because you have got certain optoms that'll be like, well, I can do 25 tests a day, and then the other person's trying to keep up with that. But then everyone's different,
Everyone's different in how it works.
Yeah,
I think as well. I mean, I'm nosy. I look at the GOC hearings all the time, but we have to check just in case if there is somebody, because God forbid. I've had loads of scenarios where somebody has come forward for work and they've got a hearing, and we have to disclose that to the client, unfortunately, just because everyone's liable at that point, and then it's up to
and it's your reputation as well, isn't it?
That too as well. But it's more obviously for us, we have to be neutral, and I think this is a thing that a lot of locums forget, that we're not just on the side of the client, we're on the side of you as well. If we want to get the best rate that you want, but we also have to be quite, I guess, what's the word?
Mindful, I suppose. No?
Mindful and realistic, I would say. If a client's offering 350, you wouldn't come in and say, I'll do it for 475. So you do get
meeting them where they're at to a certain point, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of also, you get people who say, oh, I can do this day, but I want shorter hours and a higher rate. How does that work? How can you ask for shorter hours and more money?
Yeah.
I would love that too. But it's sort of those conversations. I think it's sort of realistic at the end of the day. I think, if you want that rate, I think it's one of those, you have to work up to it.
Yeah. And if you, I think if you go in at the normal rate and you sort of prove your worth in a way, then it's a much easier conversation to have afterwards, following date, saying, well, you've obviously seen the standard of my work. I've done it at the rate that you sort of suggested initially, but moving forward, like, this is what I would normally offer, and you take it from there. Because otherwise, I think if you're saying, well, I want this, and you go in and you're absolutely crap, they're not going to book, they're not going to book you again.
Feedback as well is really important. I mean, you can have feedback with some locums and they're like, absolutely fine, take it on board. And then you do have odd locums who do say that, I don't agree with that, or this has happened, or this and this. And then it becomes quite hard to place that person again, just because of the feedback. I mean, I always say, look, it could have been an off day.
Yeah.
Let's give them a go again.
Yeah.
And I always say that to the clients. And usually that happens, or if it's a really bad experience, then it's just a flat right no.
Yeah.
But for us as well, we have a rule that, okay, one practice might not be for them. Let's try a few more. And if it's the same feedback, then at that point, that's when we have to have the conversation of, unfortunately, we cannot represent you any longer.
Yeah, it's like a you problem rather than a them problem, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, you get interesting things. I mean, I had one locum, I think she killed her grandparents off about 10 times. She killed her grandparents. I remember each time she cancelled work, it was something drastic.
Gosh.
And at that point, you just have to ask the question, how
Yeah.
many grandparents do you have?
Yeah.
Because you can't outright say, I think you're lying. You know, you kind of have to
Yeah.
ask them, you've got to go about it.
Strategic in what you said, yeah.
Yeah, and she said, "Oh, I've got," and to be honest, she wasn't lying. I think she had a step parents. I think I remember it was her mom got remarried, then the stepdad got remarried, and then there were so
Then
many.
it's so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
it was just that many grandparents. And I did ask her at the end. I was like, "Do you have any grandparents left?"
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case, I'll get another email saying that. But you do hear all sorts. You get all sorts. The favoritable one at the moment is somebody cancels. It's a family emergency.
Yeah.
That seems to be the go-to.
What can you say to that though? What can you say?
Oh God, you
Family
can't say
emergency?
anything. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had you have people who use who will use the same line, and
Yeah.
if it's a genuine thing. I remember a couple of months back, I had a lady who she's been working with me for quite a while, and bless her, she had a car accident, and I had a picture of her in a neck brace, and I was like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
But yeah, that's again, I mean, and that all starts from obviously building that relationship with the locum, as a favor as well. If I really needed a store covering as well, I mean, because of building that relationship with locums, I can ask like, look, I really need this store. Please, can you go there for me? If they are booked in for that, for example, we work with a multiple at the moment. And if there's a hard to fill area, but I know that somebody would go there, I would ask the question of that particular person, could you do me a favor? I need you to move, because I'm more likable to fill where you are at the moment than it is to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And if you have that relationship with somebody, they can do it. If you don't, it's a flat right, no? Why would I want to travel another extra hour?
Yeah, but then but then it's you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and
Exactly.
isn't it, effectively. So can I ask then, Anu, and I don't know whether you would know, this off the top of your head, in terms of your sort of, I'm going to say on patient base, your client base, in terms of locum clients coming to you for work, how many, what kind of is the split between male and female?
Wow, it's interesting. I think now, I mean, being in this industry for God knows how long now, 12 years? 12 years,
13 before, yeah.
Yeah, 12 years, God. In the beginning, it was more male-led.
Okay.
But now you see a lot of women entertaining block bookings.
And why, and again, you may not know the answer to this, but in your opinion, why do you think you've seen that shift?
I think it's more and more as the generations are progressing. And I also think, especially in sort of Asian women as well, when I first started, it was really rare for Asian women to do any block bookings.
Okay.
So I would hardly get any. And now I have a lot of them wanting to sort of step out of their comfort zone. I don't know if it's a generation thing, as in the parents have become more lenient, or it's more, did they study out for uni? Are they so used to being out for uni? Maybe they've come back home, they want to sort of go out and venture out. It really depends. I mean, and also I see a lot of couples as well now asking for blocks.
Do you?
Yeah. I have a couple that they're now married, and they contact me for blocks together.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So I split them up. I'm joking. No. So what I normally
Not
do?
together.
No. I'll send them to a block, and I'm like, you go here, she's going there.
You go
You
there.
can still stay in the middle.
Good.
Yeah.
And in terms of you saying that, you've noticed that these days, more of the newly qualified locums trying to push the price up, rightly or wrongly so. Do you find that's more male in your experience, female, or is it a mix?
It's a bit of both.
It's
a bit of both. Yeah, it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both. I think for us, it's quite interesting when we send our emails out or calls or however we do, we advertise dates. The responses are quite interesting that I find. You get some people who say, "Hi, hope you're well." Would there be any movement on the rate? You get people who will ask a question, or you get people saying, "I want 450." Okay. Not a hello, nothing. And I'm like, "Hi, nice to speak to you." you know. But you do get a lot of yeah, I would say it's both. It's both.
Both.
Yeah.
And in terms of going back to sort of being a business owner, and there's like the three of you, how's that journey been?
It's been tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been tough, but it's been great. I think because we all have that trust in each other. We all know how we all work together, which is great, and we all know sort of what we do. So I'm solely locum, somebody else is solely perm, and then we have another person who floats between both. I mean, if you ask me to help source somebody for permanent work, I can. It's not my speciality. But if you want me to find you somebody in the middle of nowhere in Cornwall who can do X, Y, Z, I can find you that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all have our specialities. It's been tough. It's been definitely a growing journey because we're all sort of remote, so we all work from home. And previously we were all in an office. So I think for me personally, it's been a completely different ball game because I was used to going to an office every morning. I was used to sort of having a set structure of, okay, this is what we're going to do today, this is what we're going to target. And that's solely sort of myself. It's almost like I've gone back in time to when I first started, which is nice. But obviously this is for ourselves now, which is even nicer.
Yeah. Do you see the agency growing, like your whole company growing? Are you happy where you're at? Where do you find that sort of work-life balance?
I think, well, it's interesting you say that. So because we actually do emergency on-call service as well. So we officially open at 6 a.m. So that is, so that's actually for obviously optometry, audiology and pharmacy.
Right.
And then we have an on-call service as well from 5 p.m. till 10 p.m.
Okay.
So that's in case if, for example, if, I'm not saying an optician's in case somebody cancelled the next day, but it could happen. But it gives us that sort of time to find somebody, which is good. I mean, we've had loads of cases where I think a client of mine, it was last week, I got a call at 9:30 at night. Luckily, I was at home. And he said, look, my pharmacist let me down. Please, can you help me find someone? I ended up finding somebody, which is great. But again, there's not many agencies out there who offer that on-call service. And if they do, it's not personable. It's all via an app. I mean, it's interesting because you hear the feedback about apps as well from locums, and it's really mixed reviews. Some people love it. They love having the app. Some people don't because it's not very personable. I know one of my locums who spoke to me about the app, she said that it had completely deleted her shifts, so she had no idea where she was booked in. And all the clients, I think she got blacklisted from one of the clients as well because of it.
And it's out of her control as well. It's technology.
And the worst part about it was that the client didn't take her back because of it.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I think all the evidence and all the proof was there. But that's what I mean.
And that leads me on to my next question, was, because you just spoke about tech anyway, I was going to ask about AI. How do you see, because there's lots to talk about AI in healthcare. And to be fair, I think you're probably the first optical person that I've had on my podcast, to be fair, because I've kind of kept it quite separate, just, from the optical world for me. But now you are here, and what do you feel about AI in the healthcare sector, and how do you think it'll affect you?
I think, it will definitely affect us. It depends because we also don't just do optoms, we do DOs, we do OAs, and obviously we do the permanent side. In terms of AI, I think you can't always replace everything with a robot. You're going to have some sort of human interaction.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it in the pharmacy world where they have robots to dispense. You have robots who there's a pharmacy near me, and they've got a robot that just does all the dispensing, and it saves them a cost of a salary, but it's not personable. I mean, it's a gadget, and people think it's really cool, and people will probably come to see the gadget, but when that has technical faults and it takes you 2 days to repair it,
or it dispenses the wrong product and you don't know because you trust it.
Precisely. But then it's the same. It's interesting you say that about AI. The amount of locums who talk to me about, and it's interesting because they talk about locums who like phoropters instead of trial frames.
Yeah.
And I think the old school optoms, there was one who said they called them lazy optoms, the ones who like phoropter heads. I said, look, you can't say that's each their own. I understand. I said, it depends. If it's a 20-minute clinic, then I understand. Yes, you might need to use a phoropter. But it's almost like a similar conversation to that, because the phoropter is almost essentially doing what the trial frame does. It's just less time.
It's quicker, and unfortunately, whether they like it or not, it is more accurate because you can go down to those little changes on it as well.
Precisely.
I'm quite offended that somebody says that you're lazy if you use a phoropter.
You know what? The amount of things you hear in this line of work is just, the best one is, I think I always make a joke out of this. It's when we send majority of our dates via email, and we'll say the location, the rate, the times, and the dates, and then you get somebody coming back saying, "Where is this?" And I'm like,
there.
My concern is that if I'm sending you to do people's eye tests and you can't see that yourself, I'm a little concerned. But obviously I can't say it. You make a joke out of it. But and you end up having loads of eye jokes, which is great. So
So in terms of so if somebody, if just say somebody was wanting to go into sort of the recruitment industry and not specific to optical, just in general, are there any things that you would say that definitely do this and definitely don't do that?
Don't do it. I'm joking. No. I would say, God, it depends on what sort of agency you go to. You can go to an agency who are very cutthroat. You can go to an agency who are very target driven. I think what's interesting, statistics on recruitment, 70% of the people who go into recruitment don't actually stay into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's only
why do you think that is?
I think it's more about the pressures and the KPIs. And it depends on different types of recruitment, because you have engineering recruitment, you've got logistics, you've got IT, you've got accounting, education. These are off the top of my head. Construction. Obviously, you've got us as well. But it really depends on the sector, and it really depends on what you could do. So, for example, I could go into construction tomorrow, but the conversation will be completely different to how I would speak to an optom. The skill set, obviously, you've also got, depending on what kind of role they do. But I think as well, it's more to do with like the management as well. So what is your manager like? Are they very sales driven? There's always a bigger picture. I always say this to people. If you have a manager who is very sales driven and wants you to achieve potentially unrealistic targets, well, actually, are they on a manager's bonus? Do they benefit from you? So I always say to people, there's a bigger picture. Recruitment is tough, but recruitment can be really rewarding. Being able to know that you've been a part of someone's journey and to help them, whether that's get married or, buy a house, or help them with, I don't know, maybe some sort of debt or something. I know I've got one of my optoms at the moment, and he's not in debt per se himself, but there's a family situation that he's got going on, and I didn't need to be privy to that. He didn't need to tell me. But instead, what we did was we found a solution, and he's doing a block booking, getting as much money and as most money he can to sort of clear that for him. So again, it's all about customer experience.
No, that makes sense. And so my brother's in recruitment, and I think it's like IT dot something. I don't know. I don't really something to do with computers somewhere. And I've sort of seen his journey over the years, and he's been in those environments where it's high pressure, high sell, but then it's weird because he liked that pressure, and he liked that almost like Wolf of Wall Street, like that kind of like, we did it kind of thing. So I think in certain situations, based on sort of what I've seen with him and his colleagues, because he's got like a group of like a network of recruiters that own their own companies, and they come together, and you can see the similarities in their personality. Like, they're very alpha male, very like sales driven, very like money orientated. And I think, like, when, depending on, like you say, which kind of recruitment agency you start off working for, before you go sort of, or if you feel like the urge to go for yourself, like freelance or whatever, self-employed, I think sometimes I don't think he fully realized how much he got a kick out of getting those commissions and placing somebody. So it's almost like, depending on the experience that you have, you can unlock certain things in a person or personality that they didn't realize was there. But on the flip
100%.
side,
Yeah.
but on the flip side of it, I remember him saying that there's some people that are in there that just are not made, and not in an offensive way, but they're just not made for that environment, and it can break them because of how much pressure they've been put under. And I don't think, obviously every recruitment agency is different and things, but the ultimate aim, correct me if I'm wrong, is obviously to generate sales, because that it's a business, like, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is.
I think so.
I mean, I've worked for a few. Obviously I won't name which ones. But they'll know who I am because they'll see it. And I've been in environments where it's been, let's sort of get the techniques right, and then let's get to the bit where, you sort of make more. I've been in environments where there's high staff turnover. There's a reason why there's high staff turnover. There's a reason why the staff don't stay. There's a reason why you don't offer commission. And then I've been in environments where they've said, this is your baby, you grow it to what you want to grow it to.
So
and that,
like, the whole...
you have control because nobody else does locum, so it's only you. So it's different. It depends on the scenario. And I truly believe it also depends on the management and who you have. Because if you have somebody who is very sales driven but doesn't explain the techniques and has that conversation with you, you could be in a room and they could say, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And it also breaks your confidence down. And it also breaks. And I think that's a big thing as well in this day and age and in this society. Everybody is aware of their emotions more. People want to talk about it more. People talk about mental health more. But nobody talks about the fact that if you're in a room with somebody who could be in their early 20s at this point, starting their career off, and you're with somebody who's potentially in their mid 30s, 40s, whatever range it is, but you have somebody in front of you and you're basically telling them they're not good enough. They're not doing their job properly. They're not hitting these sales. But actually, what tools have you given them to hit their sales? Have you given them the support that they need to get there? If this person is asking for support, have you actually supported them? You might think you've supported them in your own way because you're at the top of your game. You're not there at the bottom of the food chain now. You've forgotten how to do that. And you might be in that situation. I mean, I've been in a situation where I've had somebody where they were brand new and there was a language barrier because she originally came from a different country, and she ended up being one of the best recruiters in our team. But that is because you have that conversation,
and you raise them up with you, isn't it? I think your team, I always feel, are a reflection of you and how much time you invest in them. And that investment doesn't have to be monetary investment. Like I say, it could be time investment.
Yeah, it could be time. I mean, I definitely agree. And also I think it reflects on like you as a manager. I mean, I had scenarios when I had the team messaging me when I was abroad and they would always say like, oh, this has happened. And I'm like, guys, you need to do this. I mean, there was an example last year. I was away for 3 weeks. I went to Australia and Fiji. And I remember, I think it was when I got to Australia when the team were like, something's happened. And I'm like, that's okay. Do this. Just bear in mind, I am about 9 hours ahead. So whatever's happening, like, it's a bit of a time difference. And then, because I was on a 3-week cruise, I ended up going to Samoa after. And I
Oh,
went to,
wow.
I went to America Samoa, and I went back in time because of the international
Yeah,
date night.
yeah, yeah,
And that was a bit of a not great.
yeah,
I'll be
yeah,
honest with you. I woke up the next day and I was like, great, I'm 12 hours back in time. I'm going to be shocked. And it was interesting because I remember the team were asking me to do something, and by the time I got back to them, it was their evening, and I was like, I'm so sorry.
yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, that sort of reflects in how you are as a person. If your team, one, they're comfortable with, I guess it's boundaries as well. Clearly, I didn't have any boundaries to say, leave me alone. But also, I'm aware that it's not just me who has to answer to things. If you have a team that you're looking after, the higher ups to you, you've got to answer to them. So
Yeah,
I'd rather not have that headache. I'd rather just sort it out now and then deal with that potentially 2 weeks after and be
2
like,
weeks
that was
after.
an issue. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, that makes sense.
but yeah, no, I definitely do think like recruitment is it's fun, it's hard work, it's very fast paced depending on what you want to do, but it can be really rewarding.
Yeah.
But you just, again, I think people need to look at the bigger picture. Like,
Yeah.
how are your management staff? Also look at the staff turnover. If you see people leaving, it might be a reason.
Something's happening there. Yeah,
Something's going on.
yeah.
And that's the issue that you're seeing nowadays. And also I think people are so quick to say no, they're not great, rather than to invest their time and effort. You could see potential in some, everybody has potential, but it's whether or not that person wants to put that time in.
And I think the society that we live in now, it's the Amazon effect, I would say, is that everything's like now, like you need everything's to be done now. People don't want to like wait or train or whatever, which like it's just the nature. Even if like you so used to everything instant, you scroll, everything's instant. You click your order, everything's here. Like if it's not next day, then what's the point? That's what people, and that's not how humans work, and that's not how it is how life works in a certain aspect, but you can't apply that to everything. I was like, even like with my children, like, so, and unfortunately, the society that we're living in, they're used to things being so quick and so sort of instant. Like, if you get in the car with them, they're like, "Well, are we not there yet?" And it's like, "It's been 2 minutes. It's been 2 minutes," because they're so used to it happening straight away.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate, like, in a workplace, when somebody new comes in, you want to just try and accelerate, like, we'll just get there quicker, but then we are human at the end of the day, and to equip somebody with good skills to become a good team player does take time. It's been so great speaking to you, Anu, about everything, recruitment, having a business, and then obviously like the locum scene. I didn't really think that would go deep down into the optical sector, because I don't tend to I don't have had any optical on the podcast, so that's been quite nice and refreshing to speak about. So if somebody wanted to contact yourself to look at sort of the locum roles, permanent roles, across optometry, audiology and pharmacy, they can contact you via your website and via email and LinkedIn.
Yeah, email, LinkedIn, website. We also have a landline number as well.
Okay,
so there's various ways of contacting us.
Okay, perfect. So what I'll do then is I'll put all those contact details in the show notes. It's been so great to sort of like speak to you about everything that's going on, and I wish you all the best in the future. So thank you,
Thank you.
for coming on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.